gamyamānasya gamanaṁ yasya tasya prasajyate rite gatir gamyamānaṁ gamyamānaṁ hi gamyate.
Gamyamānasya gamanaṁ yasya tasya prasajyate rite gatir gamyamānaṁ gamyamānaṁ hi gamyate. MMK chapter 2 verse 4. For whoever there is visiting of the now being visited, there follows a now being visited without a way to go, because the now being visited is being visited. So when you think about people, sincere Buddhists, making their sincere efforts to be mindful of the moment of the present, going around with long serious faces, there's a little bit of ironic humour at work in this verse, I think. So when the now being visited is being visited, it means there's a now being visited without a way to go. It means there's an objective reality. You're turning the now being visited into an objective reality, and that renders it a way to go absent. There is no way to go. If reality is objective, there's no way to go in it. So the first pada again is gamyamānasya gamanaṁ. There is visiting of the now being visited. And yasya, tasya is genitive, for whom, yasya for whom, and tasya for him. Prasajyate, it follows. So the verbal root prasaj, saj means to attach to or to follow as a consequence. So prasajyate, it follows as a consequence. So yasya, tasya, prasajyate, for whom there is. So gamyamānasya gamanaṁ yasya, for whom there is visiting of the now being visited. For whom, yasya, there is visiting, gamanaṁ, of the now being visited, gamyamānasya. Tasya, for him, prasajyate, there follows. So again, it's Nagarjuna's, I think with a bit of humour, is asking us to consider how it would be. How is it when there is visiting of the now being visited? When there's mindfulness of objective reality, or that is I'm making my effort to practice Zazen in order to realise reality. Okay, I'm living in reality and I want to realise that I'm living in reality. Therefore, I sit in Zazen and keep my spine straight vertically and my autonomic nervous system becomes balanced, and then I realise that I'm living in reality. He's holding up the fault in that way of thinking, because what he's saying is in the now being visited, if you turn it into an objective reality, there is no gatis there, there's no way to go in that case. So again, for whoever, yasya, there is visiting, gamanaṁ, of the now being visited, gamyamānasya, there follows, prasajyate, so there follows for him, tasya. So I haven't, I've intentionally translated this to avoid having to say for him, but in the Sanskrit, tasya does actually mean for him. It's masculine singular genitive. So instead of saying it follows for him would be more literal. For him whom there is visiting of the now being visited, for him it follows that. That would be most literal, but in other words, for whoever there is visiting of the now being visited, there follows a now being visited, gamyamānaṁ, without a way to go. without a way to go, is rite gate. And gate is the ablative or genitive of gati that we had in the verse 2. Gati means the way to go, or the path, a path. So gamyamānaṁ, there is a now being visited, rite gater, without a way to go. So again, if I do it from the Sanskrit, gamyamānasya, of the now being visited. Gamanaṁ, there is visiting. Yasya, for whom. Tasya, for him. Prasajyate, it follows. Rite gater, without a way to go. Gamyamānaṁ, there is a now being visited. Gamyamānasya gamanaṁ yasya tasya prasajyate rite gater gamyamānaṁ. For whoever there is visiting of the now being visited, there follows a now being visited without a way to go. And then the fourth pada explains why that problem arises. Gamyamānaṁ hi gamyate. So gamyamānaṁ, again, the now being visited. In this case, it's a nominative singular neuter again. It's the subject. He, for, because. Gamyate, as in the opening verse, is visited or is being visited. It's the same in Sanskrit. Gamyate is visited or is being visited. So gamyamānaṁ hi gamyate, because the now being visited is being visited. It's an ironic, comical phrase. The reason it doesn't work is because while you're busy visiting the now being visited, action is not happening. Everything's kind of stuck in suspended animation, where you're at your laboratory microscope trying to study the now being visited. You're visiting the now being visited. In that state, action is not taking place. The Dharma is not, empty Dharmas are not happening in that situation. What's happening under that conception, that non-empty conception, is the now being visited is being turned into an objective reality, something like a stone, which the scientist is pulling himself down, wanting to look at in the microscope. And so when all that is swept away, the now being visited is happening. There's no subject verbing a stone-like object. It's rather, the whole thing is like a giant unfolding kiss, to use Carlo Rovelli's figurative explanation. The now being visited is a happening, an empty happening. But when we talk about the now being visited, we turn it into a stone, an objective thing like a stone. That's how we would like to understand reality. And that is the meaning of prapancha in the opening, in the dedicatory verses, when Nagarjuna describes dependent arising as prapanch upashama, the winding down of prapancha, the cessation of prapancha, stopping of spinning things into self-existence. So the now being visited, as Nagarjuna is setting it out here, is an antidote. He's helping us to see that the now being visited is an antidote to our usual way of thinking about objective things. But actually, the difficulty of it is we can still turn the now being visited into, if we had our previous conception of the power of now, a la Eckhart Tolle, we can just, instead of saying now, we can just say the now being visited. And that's what people do. So there's no explanation that Nagarjuna, however clearly he puts it forward, there's no explanation that can prevent us from going down the path of prapancha, spinning things into self-existence. But by studying MMK diligently, verse by verse, we can see the effort that Nagarjuna is making to prevent us from going down that false path. He can't prevent us. The only thing that can prevent us is us actually seeing it for ourselves. And that requires some humility, because we've spent our whole life basing our decisions and our actions on the conception that we're living in reality. So we can hear Master Dogen saying, Taza wa buppo, buppo wa taza. And it, if we believe that it was telling the truth, that those strikes us are very powerful words, but we still don't really understand, because the conception that we're living in objective reality is so ingrained in our minds, including by Zen masters who work so hard to affirm that the Buddhist teaching is not idealism, not materialism, it's just reality.
gamyamānasya gamanaṁ yasya tasya prasajyate rite gatir gamyamānaṁ gamyamānaṁ hi gamyate.